if you want to think about business success, you can look at it just simply through the lens of wins plus opportunities minus losses. But how do we do that? How do we get real intentional with it? And I got a few ideas. So number one, always start from a place of optimism. I have this obnoxious habit. If somebody asks me the innocuous question, how are you today? I always say, I'm glorious. It's so annoying and I love it. People eat it up and it's genuine. It is not that I've just trained myself to shout it like I'm a cheerleader. I genuinely believe it. And people feed off of that energy, and that's very real and it's visceral and it's wonderful because I can see how people can feed off of that. Use that, out in your world and in your life. You've got to create relationships face to face. And again, with the biggest asterisk, understanding what the business world looks like right now. But I'm a Gen Xer. I'll let the millennials and the boomers kind of fight out the culture wars. But for me, it's really about how do you get face to face? And by face-to-face, I realize that means very many different things at this point. But that's how you build those relationships. What's been fascinating about watching what's happened in the business world is the inability to communicate, even though I can see your face, in a Zoom screen. The body language, the subtle nuance, the ability to just be present with somebody else, you can't replace that. So go be a barbarian, eventually share a meal, eventually be able to share coffee, eventually be able to sit across the table with somebody, even if it's 6 feet apart, that's fine. But that's the only way you're going to build a real relationship. When you're trying to create a relationship with somebody, lean into their needs just for a second. Stop trying to sell your crap. It is so obnoxious. You know what? If you want people to be gravitate toward you, find a way to help them. Actually take the time to care about what they're trying to accomplish, because the weirdest thing will happen. They will reciprocate. In human behavior, it's fascinating. If you go offer to buy somebody lunch, the first thing they'll do is like, hey, I'll get it next time. That's so cool because there's going to be a next time. The ability to just simply realize that there is now a relationship. So now there's a second version of this. But that's human nature. If I give you something, the ability to want to reciprocate is very human. So if you really want the business world, or if you want your personal life in many ways, reach out, help other people, and there's a much better chance that that's going to come back to you. Help people find jobs or job leads or create connections for nothing. Just find a way to help other people. I do this really weird thing. People will send me a resume and say, hey, I'm looking for a job. You know what I do? Actually try. It is so not difficult to make introductions. There's a currency of making introductions. That's not a recommendation, so just calm down. I'm not saying that everybody's going to believe that you're saying everybody in the world is great, but there's a currency to just making those connections. Next on the list is appreciate that your circumstances are going to change someday. Look, I started out in business. I was the young guy. Now I've had some success and I've had an ability to impact other people. That gives me the chance to have a bigger network, but I still have young people that come to me, and my hairdresser's nephew might send me a resume. Well, that person may not impact my business world, but I want to make time and be intentional and purposeful about creating some sort of relationship and touch with them, because the situations may change. You don't know. Be selfless right now, because someday you may need to be selfish. So how this all kind of happens is I talk about the idea of cultivating alphas, people in your world that are advocates for you. And the thing is that you don't know who those people are when you run across them in your life. You won't realize that payoff happens for years down the road. I love telling this story because one of the great business and personal relationships I have in my life started because I just happened to overhear somebody talk about ABC Sports. And I thought, well, I want to be in sports marketing. So I invited him out to lunch, and we go to a Pizza Hut buffet. And it's Pizza Hut. But what ends up happening is over the course of years, we've poured into each other's lives and our business lives. and over many, many dollars of business influence and helping each other. It's been this truly mutual relationship, and it all started over Pizza Hut. We had no idea what we were getting into that day, but it was because it was an intentional act. I wanted to grow, and I'm always in the process of trying to have coffee and to just reach out. And you don't know who the ones are in your life that are going to really make that impact. So as long as you're intentional and you do it with 500 people over the course of your year or career or whatever that is, you're going to get the one. You're going to get the one diamond relationship that's going to really lock into place. And again, don't worry about whether that person is an alpha or not. You're not going to be able to know that up front because, again, their situation's going to change. But it really comes down to human beings. I've used the example all the time. Every business decision is not just based on what I can put in an Excel sheet. You have to be able to have a relationship. You have to be able to connect with people at a human level. And if you do that, your odds of being successful are so much higher. So to me, the whole point is just be intentional. This has to become part of your DNA, and not even so much about your personality profile and whether you're comfortable or not, but that it just becomes intentional in your relationships, because I'm so hopelessly optimistic about just being hopelessly and recklessly trusting in people, and that the wins so far outweigh the losses.